Okay, so this stuff's all hardened up. It's had a full day to harden up. Everything looks really good. The damper is staying nice and sealed off. Everything stayed smooth on the inside of here. It didn't sag out on me. One of the impressive things about this is actually, like, I've been playing with it a little bit, and the bond strength that it gets to these brick, and some of the brick that are dirty, like especially like look at this corner. So it's a little dirty. I wasn't able to grind to the corner, but man, that bond strength there is like it's really adhered and it's really strong. And if I get in on it, some light on it, you can see that it's got little fibers in the mix. And those fibers really help to bond everything all together so it stays all as one. So right now I'm just getting ready to parge up the rest of this flue. And then when I get up into the, I got a lot of parging to do. I'm just, we're going to be parging all day today. I've been working on this flue that goes down to the fireplace downstairs, and I've got it up to a point where I can get the rest from this apex room standing up in here, so which is nice because I've been working through these little holes and it's been really tough. So that's what it's looking like. It's pretty smooth for the most part. I just hit it, it's still soft. I will be applying more to that, so it's not finished quite yet. It's going to be a little thicker, but I'm almost up into this apex room here, as you can see, and then I'm going to be doing all this stuff. We're getting started on doing this section. I've got this flue parged up, and I've got to get another coat on that still. So after it hardens up some more, of course. So I'm going to work on doing all these walls. I'm going to focus on this fireplace and that fireplace mostly because I have to do some brickwork in there to get the dampers in. And so I'm just going to be parging up in here for a while. And then, it won't be my last coat. This will be my first coat. And then after I get this first coat on, then I'll have to build the thickness out to, I'd like to get the total thickness to be 1 inch thick. So I just want to talk about this hog. That video I put out about about chasing the hog. And so that hog was it was just right below the attic floor level. And everybody's got their own idea what a hog is. Apparently, I didn't really know there was that much discrepancy in it. In Europe, I guess they call it a pig. Here we call it a hog. There's not much difference in a hog and a pig, except for a hog is a mature pig. So not too much difference, but some people are saying that it's intentional. But I can tell you with 100% certainty that you don't put a hog in anywhere on purpose. It would never be intentional. You can see what they were building off of here. So it did not start at the foundation like some people thought. They carved the earth or started the brick at some kind of spiral. It wasn't spiraling. The hog happened on accident. These guys were good at what they did, for sure, but still accidents happen. And I can build the scenario for you here. So basically, this is a massive structure to build, and I'm standing in here and it's still big. They would have been working from the outside, and so they're leaning over these walls here to build this interior wall. But not only that, they're at such an awkward height because attic floor is here, so they're going to be working under the attic floor level, leaning way over to build this interior wall. And basically, in the lighting, 240 years ago, what do you think the lighting was in here? Do you think they had some LED lights to set up? Probably not. So it was probably really dark. They're working under the floor, bumping their heads. There's 2 or 3 guys on each side of it, and they're just mailing brick in. And that's how you end up getting a hog like that in the chimney. It wasn't intentional. They just weren't using levels. If you look at this brickwork, they don't use levels. They just had so many brick, it wasn't part of it. So they would have used levels probably when they got through the roof and down low and done a little better work. But all this stuff was designed to be hidden, so they didn't care so much. And then also other people were mentioning, a hog in the wall. Let me see if I can find one right here. Some people think that a half brick in the wall is a hog in the wall. A half brick in the wall, normally if it's a straight wall, you find a half brick in the center of the wall. It's a bonding problem where someone's bonded it out wrong, is what typically happens, but that's not called a hog. That's called broken bond. It's actually a masonry term, and it's a technique that you'll use sometimes to get balanced brickwork between windows and stuff, or under windows. So that's definitely not a hog. And there's more than one type of hog. So if you could imagine, so see this line that I've scribed here? If this was the high side of the chimney all the way to that side, and this was the low side, and you were completely from one side to the other, one brick at a level, somebody might call that a hog. Maybe we can actually agree to just call that one a pig, like they do in Europe. Maybe that one's a pig. So you get that one from one corner of the building to the next corner of a big building. People end up one whole course off. That one's easier to solve than the Big Daddy pig that I showed you, where there's one brick showing up in just one spot. Because picture where that ends. At the top, you have to end that at the top of a chimney or at the top of a building, and you always have one course showing above the rest of it. How do you end that? You can't. So that maybe that one's the hog, the Big Daddy hog. Because this one would just be like low in that corner, low in that corner, and then these two corners would be high. Maybe we can call that one the pig. Or if you get too many courses, like say on one side of a doorway, you have a different amount of courses on the left side and a different amount of courses on the right side. That can happen. So there's different variations of it, and there's a lot of people making stupid comments. These people are, you can tell by the way they answer that they're educated people, but the problem is they're just, everything for them, their education is built in theory, not in practice, so they don't have real experience doing anything. Everything's hypothetical experience that they maybe learned in college, but this is hands-on experience, and you're just not going to get that in just from going to school. So hogs are not on purpose. We don't build spirals in the middle of a chimney for structure or for expansion, so there's less cuts. We always strive to keep our masonry on one level, tied in on that one level, and I hope that maybe was the information that some of you were looking for regarding the hog or the pig, whichever. So today I'm going to start off I'm actually going to just coat this whole thing. I've got a few brick to lay here. The wall in there has been patched off and plastered by the homeowner. So now I'm going to get these brick in there, and really what I'm going to work on is just parging everything up with this chamber coat mix, the Formula 51. And as you can see, my first coat, it goes on really nice. I'm not able to get it perfectly flat the first coat because there's so much of it, so you can still see the little dips where the brick are, but you can see there's no shrinkage, cracking, or anything. Everything is really nice. So that's really why I like using this stuff. It doesn't really shrink. Even some of this stuff went on pretty wet, and there's no shrinkage cracks. It seems like it's really good stuff. It's got all these nice fibers in it, holding it all together. Yeah, so I've got to just get that brick in, parge everything up, get down in this hole and start parging stuff. I'll have to get down in there and vacuum again probably, but it's a tight spot in there. And then at some point I got to start laying this hole in the back wall in from the apex room. It's kind of a strategic thing. I've left it open just to have access in there to help parch that front wall, and to help build this wall up where the divider is with the beehive oven. So at some point I'm going to fill it in, but I just don't want to do it too early because I need as much room in there as I can get. I'm going to start parging up on that beehive side now. I vacuumed everything out best I could. Now I'm ready to start parging. There's not a lot of room in here. I'm just kind of standing here behind the damper and I'm going to try my best to get this thing coated really good. And then that's what it's looking like up there. I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of miserable down here. I got a lot of work to do, and it's a pain because all I want to do is just rotate my body. I'm not left-handed, but I'm finding myself having to work left-handed here on this side because I just can't. I can't pivot my hips. It's not wide enough, and I can't pivot my. I'm just, up against brick on both sides, and there's just not room in here width-wise. So I just want to pivot my body so I can work right-handed, but I just can't. So just gonna have to do this side lefty, and it's gonna take a while. So I just finished doing my first coat, parging this entire section, and just give you a peek. So I was able to get in here and roughly parge it all, just with one thin skim coat. So I was able to really force a bond, and then you can see this stuff is super wet right here. This stuff just went on. It's like really it's really wet, but yeah, just a skim coat to start it off, and then I'll go thicker on the next coat, especially on the exterior walls. And so now that that's done, I'm gonna start pulling back some of this brickwork. I'm gonna replace. I'm just gonna rip it down and start re-bricking in here. I'll probably leave this hole open, but I want to get this section bricked up. These brick are broken down to just chalk, so they all gotta come out and be replaced. I ended up opening this hole a little more than I wanted to. So I'm right to the back wall of the firebox here. You can actually see some of these holes go right through into the firebox on the inside. Yeah, it's a little sketchy with this old work sometimes, pulling it apart. So you just gotta go slow and be careful. And oh, check this out. This is one thing I noticed here. Look at this. It's got someone's fingerprints right in it. I thought that was pretty cool. When they were making the brick, before they fired them, somebody must have ran their fingerprints through the top of it. Yeah, just getting ready to whip some brick in here, and I'm not going to close it all off, but I'll probably try to just get the brick back up to this height, and I'll leave a little access hole here. That is where I'm leaving it for now. Got it bricked up, got it resupported on the side here. Just toothed it in right here. And this is how I'm going to leave it till I work the rest of that chamber coat mix in there, or the Formula 51 mix, till I get my proper thickness on there. And then I still got to build the rest of that brick divider wall in there for the beehive. I'll probably actually do that tomorrow. After I get that final coat on, I can put that brick wall in and get the final coat on here maybe. And then once that final coat's on in this one, then I can brick this in. I also still have to final coat this one, and brick this one in. We're just getting set up this morning to start parging more. A lot of parging in here. Got the plastic opened up today so it's easier to work, and my hope is I can get all this parged up. Well, so I've got everything skim coated now, and everything is pretty much it's real close to where we're, you know, everything's, I should say everything is covered. So we got everything back to clean. We've got a really good bond with everything, even in the hole. Just grab my light quickly. Even down here to this main fireplace, everything is parged up. And I am looking today to start building on this. So I've got this built out to like just next to no thickness. It's a skim coat, and what I'm going to be looking for is 1 inch. So build up 1 inch on all of the exterior walls where there is a potential that they might come into contact with framing, like up here. You know, the framing ends up being really close to the outside of the chimney, so all the outside walls get 1 inch thick. The interior walls, I'm just looking for skim coat on them, and then that they be smooth. Like this, you know, I've skim coated this wall here, but it's not really smooth because it was so jagged, so I will skim coat that again, float it out, make sure it's nice and smooth. So I'm not really looking to build on that, I'm just looking for smooth. So that, the beehive oven divider wall, the fireplace flue here, and then brickwork for the dampers. There's a ton going on here. Yeah, I can never really decide what I need to do next. So everything has to be so thoughtful so I don't get myself in trouble. But I can't hurt myself right now if I try to just get everything to 1 inch. 1 inch thick, and then I can start my brickwork on the inside for those dampers. Once everything's 1 inch, then I can start my block work for my petition walls. So yeah, I guess that's just the focus today. 1 inch thick. And then after that's all done, we can go from there. I had to get the winch set up. So I moved the big fan on top so I can get my winch set up, because it's really getting increasingly harder and harder to come out of this hole just under my own force, because without marking up or tearing up the wall, like usually when I climb out of there, I'd have a rope or something. I use the wall to brace off it, but I can't when it's all wet. So I need the winch overhead so I can grab hold of it. I'll just put a strap on there that I can grab hold of, and Lennon can just winch me straight up, and then hopefully I won't dig into the walls and gouge the wall as I'm coming out. So my plan is to put the mix on really thick, and then I'm going to embed this stainless steel wire into the mix. I know you don't need to do that, and it doesn't say anything about doing it, but you know, I just thought that, you know, it can't hurt to have something in there kind of helping bind everything all together, especially years down the road. You know, the goal for this fireplace is, you know, we want to inject a lot of life into it, and, you know, hopefully, you know, it'll survive another 100 years or so after we're done here. So I figured it couldn't hurt to put some of this stainless wire in there and embed it, and just, you know, that'll really help hold everything together, especially considering how thick we're going to be putting that mix on. If you guys are wondering how I'm going to gauge the thickness on this mix, I've got this tool. It's just a masonry chisel I have in my box, and I had Lyndon put a piece of tape on it for me so I know where 1 inch is, and I can just prod this in, and just as long as I go deep enough, then I know that I've got enough mix if it goes to the tape. And so I'll do that here and there as I go, just to make sure I get the proper thickness. So if I wedge my hips in here just right, I'll stand on this divider wall for the beehive oven. See that? And it's really hard to work down there because it's so narrow, but if I just squeeze my hips in here in the right way, I can actually bend all the way over and reach darn near to that damper, right? And I don't need my hands to hold me up, so I can just bend over while my hips are holding me and work all this stuff down in here. Okay. Now you can see that I've started to embed this stainless steel wire in here. So I started with the skim coat on everything, and I've built that out to about 1/2 inch or 3/8 inch thick. That's my 1-inch gauge I've been using. So, you know, about half of that or whatever, maybe a little more, and embedded that wire. And that's just, you know, it's this really nice stainless steel wire. It's not like super heavy gauge, but I think that's really going to help hold everything over the years together, and just, you know, offer some nice rigidity to it. So it's a bit of a process putting this stuff on. See, I put my first coat. That's about 3/8 to a 1/2 inch thick, and then put the mesh in there. And then I really kind of glob this stuff on here, right? And then just to kind of help smooth it over to get it somewhat flat, I moved to my pool trowel. They call them pool trowels because they work on like gunite pools with them. They're rounded edges, and they're easy to kind of maneuver without tearing up, without having corners on it to tear everything up. So you just kind of roughly smooth it over. Okay, I don't want to go crazy with this pool trowel right now. And then after I get it roughly flat, I'm just going to gauge it and see and make sure I got my minimum thickness. I'm a bit thicker in some spots than I need to be, but that's okay. So it's safe to say that I've got my thickness. Okay, and then after that, I'll move to my Stability makes these 3-foot concrete screeds, so I'll just screed it with my concrete screed, just to kind of roughly flatten it out. I'll take off all the high spots. Right? I can do it both ways. And we're not trying to get it perfect, we're just trying to get it somewhat flat for now. And then we can't do too much with this. We're just going to roughly get it flat, and then as it starts to set up, then we can start working it a little bit more and a little bit more. It's a slow process, so you know, this stuff was the first stuff I put on, and you can see it's still really wet, so we just work it a little bit at a time, and then as it sets up, we'll be able to get it flatter and flatter. And you know, not like I'm going to get it perfectly flat, because that brickwork isn't flat. You know, everything kind of is not plumb, so we're just going to try to get small sections of it flat and get it all to flow together. Boy, it's a little tricky working left-handed. Just putting the final coat on this back wall here. All this other stuff is done. Just gotta coat this up because I just rough parched it the first time. And now I'm gonna go over and get it smooth so I can actually start building inside of this thing. It's one of the last things I gotta do before I can start building. Oh. You believe they all told me you gotta get an education. Everyone said you gotta get an education, you gotta get an education. Bro, look at me now. If I got an education, I wouldn't be down here. Wouldn't be enjoying my life. Loving my job every day. Okay. No, I can't get any more left-handed, I don't think, so I'm gonna have to turn around and get this. Oh, I'm so close. It's like my wrist just doesn't bend like that, or does it? Oh. I need an articulating wrist. Where'd you go? Oh, you're up top? I don't think I'm actually going to turn around. I think I'm just going to, I got to go this side. And then I'm going to work on this side. I'm shifting over. So now, yeah, basically I'm just going to get full of mud here. And get my leg out of the beehive over the slope. Here we are. Now I got to shift this side so I can get Formula 51 all over my shirt.
Do you want me to move that bucket?
Oh my word. I'm going to drop it right on my face.
Yep, I'm moving that bucket for you.
Oh, it's so far down. It's like I can bend over to a certain point, and then I know I'm going to have to smear myself up against this mud here. I'm going to just try to get my trowel right at the end of my fingertips. Oh boy. Oh, I can feel it up against my chest. It's sticky. All those people, they body shamed me my whole life. Said, you're too skinny. You look like a crackhead roofer. Well, who's laughing now? Ah. Okay, so I'm working inside of this opening here at the very top of this apex room. And I bricked in the opening that was lower down there, and now I'm just working on trying to have some go-go gadget arms here to reach down there and get the rest of this parged up. It's a little tricky, so I'm gonna have to do as much as I can from up here and then try to get down and get the rest of it through that small damper opening there. Give you guys a quick look. So this is the section I bricked in yesterday, and I'm working on parging the back side of it with some of that Formula 51 right now. I'm actually just about to head down and go through that small fireplace that's right here, and reach up and parge the rest of the back of this side to make it nice and smooth. Okay, let's have a look up here. So you can see it's a real small opening. It barely fits my phone, the width of my phone here. So I just have to reach up here and kind of smooth the rest of this stuff out. I put as much mud or the Formula 51 on top of it as I could, so I didn't have to try to get it to stick from in here. And so now I'm just going to use my trowel and reach up and smooth all that out. Okay, so today I've gotten down and parged this back wall, and the beehive oven flue on either side, and then the other side, or the bottom part of this flue that I re-bricked down there, which, there you go, and parged the back side of that with the Formula 51. I still have to do that hole right here, but I'm just gonna wait for that stuff to harden up below. So if I'm dropping mortar mix on it, it's not gonna mess up my parge job. And then of course I'll have to parge this one with the Formula 51 from up here where I'm standing. But now I'm just trying to figure out how. Oh, and I've got this side bricked in here, and this side bricked in. I parged the back sides of the fireplaces, and so I've got it to fit that damper. And you know, I'll still have to set that and parge that in with the Formula 51. But right now I'm just kind of doing layout. So I've got this wall here where it's going to come up. It's not plumb, but this is where it needs to be. This chimney's not plumb, so, or level or anything, so I kind of just have to go off plumb right there. And then I'm going to get my layout all sorted out. So I put this here. This will be my exterior wall. Obviously it doesn't go down to there, but this is the point. This is where it needs to be when it gets up here at this attic floor, because then I'll be perfectly square at my dimension that I need to be for the chimney. So I have a lot of room between down there and up here to get to this point, but I just wanted the visual to know where I have to be. Now I'm working on, now that I've got these built up, I'm working on what can I do to cap this off here. And I know that I'm going to pour some concrete. I picked up some bags of concrete this morning, and I'm gonna build a little form here. You know, just cutting some cement board and mortaring the cement board down over the brick, and then I have to figure out what I'm going to do here, because these flues are at different, you know, the brick are coming through at different spots. So I gotta figure out what I'm going to do there, because ideally I'd love to just pour it, you know, right across here, but I can't because I'll block most of this flue. So this flue, I have to kind of increase the angle of it to get it over here, and then I have to get this one built over as well. So I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out the best way to do this so I can get it poured today, and then tomorrow I'll just be I'll have something nice and level and flat and strong to build on. So it'll be nice reinforced concrete. I'll have rebar in the mix. I'll have really something nice to build on, which I'm looking forward to, because I really can't wait to start building on this thing. It feels like it's going dreadfully slow, and it's just really tedious. And then once I start the building process, I feel like, you know, at least at the end of the day, it will feel like I've got something done. So I'm just getting ready to pour the concrete, and because of how these flues came up, I kind of had to just make this crude form, and I happen to have this styrofoam that was just sitting up top near me from the dampers. The dampers were shipped with this stuff, so I just kind of like crudely put a form together here and backed it up with some block, and this should be good enough. And then I've got the angle of each flue, and yeah, so now we just got concrete mix and we're getting ready to pour it. I did mud down all these cement backer board pieces. I put the mud underneath it, and then I sealed them all up. So we're good, and we're ready now. Just got the concrete in here. I put I don't know, there's probably, I didn't even check, but there's probably 6 inches of concrete, probably. Pretty darn close. And I've got, I put 4 pieces of rebar lengthwise in the middle of it. I vibrated it all, and now I just gonna kind of roughly finish it off to level, so I have something nice and level to start off of. And yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do with my block work yet, but I know that just having a level, smooth base to start off of is really gonna help with my ideas, and having these flues come out of there, and I'll be able to build whatever I want now. And so when I level that off, I will level everything here that I'm standing on, right off of that pad. That way, right off the start, I've got everything really close to level, which is, for me, that's what I'm used to doing. These guys, when they did this, they were just whipping in brick. But I'm going to be putting block work in, and it's going to be a lot easier for me to just lay level block work. I know that I'm not going to be able to have them plumb because I got to angle them and stuff, but it's just going to be really nice to have that to build off of. Also, talk about adding strength. Like this chimney, just having that mass of concrete on top of it, holding all these walls together, just that weight and it binding everything together as one. That's really good for the structure overall of this chimney, to really help hold everything together. Like I said, those holes underneath there, they weren't doing anything anyway. But now we've just captured them all. We've got weight on all of them, and it's gonna really help hold everything. I'm basically in the attic, and I've got a little cross breeze here. Got a fan in that window. I took the big fan out of here to be able to use the winch. And today it's hot out. It's 90 degrees, and today, like, I'm dripping in here. I don't usually sweat a whole lot, but man, it is. My clothes are sticking to my body everywhere. It's one of those days, and being up in the attic like this is kind of brutal. That's how I'm leaving it right there. Just to the top of that brickwork, just about over there. And then on this side, to get it level, I ended up over that brickwork down there, probably by 1 inch to 1.5 inches on one side, which is no big deal. I'd rather this just be level than slanted the whole way that way. But it's level that way and level this way. It's really close, so that's as far as I got to get with it. And now I'm going to get out of this hole. It's just, I'm melting in here. I'm going to die of heat exhaustion if I don't. So it's really tricky in here. Just working on bricking up. This is the last piece of the apex room that I got to brick up. I did the lower section yesterday, got that parged up, and now I got to do this one. I didn't want to do this one right after I did the other one because I didn't want everything falling down and sticking into that fresh mud. So just got some brick going here, but at the same time I do this, I have to try to get my head through here and reach in this flue to parge up the backside as I go, because I'm not going to be able to reach all that way from up there down to here to actually get that on there. I'll be able to reach somewhere near the top of this hole, I think, but I won't, the lower part, I won't be able to reach. So I've got to think of that stuff ahead of time, and I'm parging it as I go, and then I'll finish it through the top when I go back up into the attic. Look what this spider is doing right above my head. The thing is going insane. Well, I guess we're back to calm now. He really doesn't like me next to him, I don't think. He's probably just trying to intimidate me. It's working. I'm finally building in here. It's still slow though. I'm just trying to get things laid out, making a lot of cuts. Um, there's a lot going on, and I've got to really plan it out right before I get going too far on it, because I could really mess it up if I just start whipping things in too fast. But this is the basic layout of what these divider walls are going to be. There's the width of each flue. This is where the blockwork will tie in to that wall there. You can see I still got to step this block over a bit more. It's a little bit too far of a step, so I'll have to do that, maybe step it twice. And I'm trying to lay out this side at the same time. But really the toughest thing here is getting these flues to come dump into this section of chimney here. So I've got to get that over to there. So I've got to build something up for the bottom of that flue, and then something that's got to come over for the top. And the bottom's not tricky, that'll be easy. But the top, I'm still trying to problem solve that one. Because I did want to get it back to nice square basic masonry by the time I get to this attic floor height, which is going to be a little challenging because I'd have to get that flue over real quick, and I just don't know how I'm going to do that yet. Still got to think about that one, but yeah, it's gonna move along slow until I get my plan together. I'm just gonna build a little bit and problem solve. I got to get these dampers set first before I get going too far, because then once my block work's in there, I'll be working down in a hole to put those dampers in, so I should probably do that soon. Landon's outside making more cuts, as you probably can hear the saw. Because we're back to the old 2-stroke saw, and the DeWalt saw for block work, it just doesn't cut all the way. So especially when you're cutting angles on block, you can see that the battery powered saw just doesn't cut through all the way. So it's nice to have that 14-inch the gas powered demo saw, especially when I'm cutting angles on the block here to get everything to shift over. I decided as I was doing the layout down there and trying to build this thing into where I need it to be, that I ought to come up here and just check out what was going on with this chimney and make sure that I could get it square and where I wanted it to be to hit this hole without having to jog it one way or another to miss the wood. So I shot my laser up and I squared it up. I pulled the diagonal. And it turns out, I'm gonna have to shift the masonry up here just a little bit, and a little bit on this side. So that allowed me to get my center point for everything going on down there. And I've got this piece of strapping here, and this edge is gonna represent my center line. So I can make sure that when I go down there, I'm gonna shoot this. This is just a plumb bob laser. It does other stuff, but I pretty much just use it as a plumb bob. And you can see that. Just show you. No matter where I put it, it shoots me a nice laser plumb bob. And I'm just gonna shoot it from down there to make sure I'm right on center with all my block work. And it might be close now, but I might have to just twist it a little bit. So I'll have to do a little less work by the time I get up to this attic floor. So I've marked center down here, and center between these two walls, right? I've got my laser plumb bob on it, and as you can see, the plumb bob is way off up here. So I'm glad I took the time to find center up top here where it matters, because I really wouldn't have known just measuring from down here. So Now I can account for that, and basically maybe I'll put a little jack line in off of this piece of strapping just so I can hold center easy, and this wall will just lean a little bit. So this picture is a really old picture of this house. I don't know if this is exactly what it would look like originally, but yeah, you can see that chimney is actually much taller than it was when we started doing the demo. So we're gonna put it back somewhere around that same height. But pretty cool. This picture is kind of faded, and I don't really know how old it is, but you can actually see, if you look really close, it looks like there's some people in here. So there it looks like a person, and then I can't tell if that's a person and maybe that's a horse. I wish it wasn't so faded so we could see a little bit more detail, but pretty cool that they have this old photo, and that's the original dirt road coming by. It looks just like a path. So I figured I'd share this. I think it's pretty cool.